Social media, it's such an amazing opportunity to increase visibility for our businesses and generate leads. But somehow it always seems to not go well. It always seems to be complicated. And we spend way too much time creating posts, way too much time figuring out what to say. And, basically, sorry, I'm having some issues here. Basically, it's a big problem. So I'm so happy that Kendra Grant is here today with us to help us figure out how to make this all work. Sorry, I had like a little technical issue in all of this. I don't know what's going on. It's not going to Facebook, but it's fine. Okay, so anyway, let's keep going. Okay, so Kendra Grant, thank you so much for being here. I know if our social media isn't going well, you're really going to walk us through how we can basically kind of get a handle on social media, right? How do we put that into a framework that doesn't, that works for us, for our businesses, and also, doesn't take forever. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm so happy to have you here on what is the Thrive Biz Chat, a weekly live where we talk about what it really takes to have a thriving service-based business. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And with that in mind, I know your business Case Concepts, you help women entrepreneurs transform their business ideas into social media so they can grow their business, right? This is such a huge opportunity, but so many of us get it wrong. So I'd love to hear a little bit, maybe start off our conversation by hearing a little bit about how you ended up in social media, because that's always the way I like to start the show. Would you be willing to share that with us?
Yes, so I ended up doing social media for a friend. Actually, I worked in radio sales, and she ended up starting her own business. So I started running her social media page, and then it kind of turned into me helping other different clients run their pages, and then it just became an entire thing for me.
I think that happens for a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
So what is it that you liked about it? Like, what was it that how is it that you decided you wanted to do that? I mean, you must have done it because you were good at it.
Well, actually, looking at my old posts, they were kind of horrible. I was like, what was I doing back then? But years ago wasn't that big of a trend to be, yeah, you were on social media, but it wasn't like this whole strategic planning behind it. It was like, I'm here, I'm posting, just to say that I'm on whatever platform. So
Yeah.
looking at it back then, it was just me being able to create pretty graphics and be creative. But now it's like you have to have a strategic plan of what you're growing and doing on social media.
Yeah. So if you think about just your average, person who's trying to run social media for their business, they start off a lot of that way, right? How you did, which is just posting. So how do we take it? Like, what do we need to do to go from just kind of randomly posting to actually have some strategy? And again, I just want to kind of remind us that this topic is like, how do we do it in 2 hours? Because if we don't put some structure around it, I don't know, it doesn't seem to work, and it's not effective. And then we don't have any time left, and then we end up not doing it at all.
Right.
So like, guide us through some sort of best practices of what you've learned.
Well, first you need to make a commitment to what you're going to do. Like a lot of people are trying to get on social media and they're trying to post every single day. They're trying to post 2 times a day, and it becomes overwhelming. You become burnt out by it. And it's like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's not fun. So really just committing to, at least 3 times a week, to actually have a plan and structuring it, deciding if you're going to show up on video, or if you're going to create a graphic, or if you're going to just post a picture and tell a story. Just deciding on what works best for you. And I feel like if you are a video person, roll out those reels and do the video, because it takes so much less time to create those things. But then people try to sit down also at the computer and do everything at one time. If an idea comes to you, write it out in your notes or on a pad, or have a board, like a Trello board, and write out your ideas that you want to talk to people about. And then once you come to the computer, you can just clean it up and make a caption, then create like the piece of content. So really looking at your overall month, like what holidays are coming up, if you want to, talk about those. If you have a business holiday or your birthday you're celebrating, or just a national holiday, looking at that first to like kind of fill in your calendar and then go from there.
Yeah, it sort of reminds me of like trying to work out. Like, I'm going to work out every single day.
Right.
I don't at all, right?
And don't even finish. You're like, I'm done. It's like twice for the week, and you're like, screw the rest of the week.
Exactly. Yeah. So I just wrote this, or last week I talked about 5 ways to generate leads, and it was kind of talking a little bit about like using your strengths, right? So like if you're, to your point, like if you're really good at video and speaking, do the video. Like if you're really good at writing, do the posts or the blogs or the graphics, right? And so I guess, is it okay to like, is it okay just to do all posts, or do you think you need a variety? Like, so let's just say 3 posts, 4 weeks in a month, roughly. Like, is it important to have a mix, do you think?
I think it's definitely important to have a mix. People learn differently. Some people want to watch videos and some people want to read.
Oh,
so
I love
you
that.
have to make sure that you're, really targeting that person. Some people like to be entertained. Like a lot of it's about entertaining. So that's where reels come in. Some people don't want to read 5 slides carousel. They just want to read like, a quick reel graphic telling them how to do X, Y, and Z really quickly.
I love that. I never really, honestly, don't think I've ever thought about that. That makes complete sense to me now, because I know some things that appeal to me and don't, and I think I'm almost turned off, right? Or it just kind of, still gives me an opportunity to engage with someone if some of the content is the way that I want to consume it. And honestly, I don't think it's a conscious thing, right? We don't say like, oh, I don't like, I mean, reels, people have a lot of opinions about, but right, on Instagram. But okay, so let's just say 3 days, some various posts, 4 weeks. Now, I'm a big advocate of content batching. Now, content batching, just so everybody knows, is sort of like at the top, like the 3rd week of the prior month, I try to have everything laid out. The challenge with that is that some things you can't necessarily schedule. I mean, depending on the apps you're using and stuff like that. So having some flexibility around that, I guess, is important, right?
So what do you feel like you can't schedule?
Oh, okay. So I was using, we're going to get technical. Okay. So like I was using like Later, right? Which is a tool that you can pre-schedule stories, but then I stopped using it. And then, so I have to do that in real time. Don't I? Or like reels, I can't schedule reels, right? I have to do that in real time. So even if I do, let's just say I do 2, oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. So 2 posts and then I still have the reels. I can't schedule that ahead of time, right?
You can, so you can create the reels and edit them, and you technically can schedule them in a preview, but you just have to manually post it. So it'll alert you when to post it. So it's called, it's an app called
Instagram?
Using Preview. It's an app called Preview.
Oh.
And you can put your captions, your everything in there, your hashtags, and then it'll just like open up your Instagram. It'll open it up to post it for you, and you just copy and paste the text and put it in there.
Oh, okay. So preview. Okay, great. Now I know. Okay, so on one hand, so I actually totally blew my mind. Okay, so basically I stopped doing reels for that reason, because for me, it's hard for me to, I don't know what I say. I like to organize my day. Like, why is this turning into like a social media consult from you? Okay, anyway. All right, I don't want to like talk about me too much, but I get it. Okay, so basically you can schedule a lot, but you're right. I do get ideas throughout the month. So then I kind of write it down, right? In a little place somewhere anyway, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And
so
then Storito, you want to do your stories for free? 10 story posts for free on Storito.
Storita. Okay. Maybe I should write this in the comments. Okay, wait. All right. Hold on, everybody. Okay. So basically, I want to go over here. So like basically what you're saying is, wait, how do I do this? I have to move over. So basically, was it Preview? That's an app or something, right?
Yeah. Preview's an app for your reels.
To schedule
I wish they would
okay.
automatically go on there, but not yet. And then Storito, you can do 10 free story posts a month.
Storito, like Dorito?
Yeah, like so STORR. You got to make me have to look it up to spell it. It's so weird.
It's okay. I'll spell it both ways. Store Ito app for, what does that do? That allows you to schedule stories?
So it's STORRITO.com.
Okay.
Yes.
And that allows you to app for scheduling stories.
Yep. And you can add the polls and the stickers and all that stuff on there, and people can answer them once it goes out automatically by itself.
Okay, perfect. That's why you're here. Oh my. See, and let's just talk about this for a second. It's like, I have a business, I want to post, and then everything kind of gets like, it feels like it gets complicated, right? And I think having that sort of, again, I don't know, it's not exactly 2 hours, but like having the concept of containing it, right, requires us to figure out what we're doing, when we're doing it, and how we're doing it, right?
Right.
Okay, so we've talked about amount. We talked about having variety to appeal to many different types of learners. And we talked about some tools, especially on Instagram, that allows us to actually schedule that ahead of time if we want. What else should we know? Do we need to be on all the platforms? Maybe we should talk about that.
No, you don't need to be on the platform. You need to be on the platform where your customer is. Like,
okay,
your ideal target audience is. And if you want to use your favorite platform, you can, but you have to make sure you're speaking to your audience correctly on that platform, because each one is different.
Excuse me, I'm so sorry to interrupt. So I've heard a lot that you should choose one. Do you agree with that, or what are your feelings on that topic?
I feel like you should choose one, especially if you don't know if your messaging is correct. So you can't be out here and your messaging is all wrong and you're posting and you're like, none of this is working. You need to get on one platform and know that you're consistently getting people coming in and asking for your offer in order to go over to other platforms. That's like people, they boost Facebook ads, and the ad isn't sufficient because people don't even understand your offer, and you wasted money and you're like, it doesn't work. But you didn't test enough. You didn't do enough things to see consistent clients coming in, and you're just thinking like, I'm going to post this and people are going to buy. No. Did you engage? Are you creating community? Like, is your offer clear? Do people come to your page and clearly know who you are and how you can help them? You know, people don't think about that stuff.
Okay, so I want to break that down, because we talked about sort of timing and number. And I'd love you to address a little bit about how we know our messaging is right. And then once we're done with that, I want to talk about engagement and community. So let's talk about that next. But how do we know, like, what do we do when we wake up and we're staring at the screen and we have to come up with idea? How do we know the messaging is right? What do you typically advise?
So before you even post, you want to, think about like, does it, like, it's something that I have because I have a freebie telling people this before they even post. So does this post relate to your business? Some people have pages and they post like the most random stuff, and it's confusing people when they come. Okay. So you want to make sure, think of your profile or whatever. It's like it's a storefront. If I walk into your store, do I know what you're selling me? So I should automatically just be able to go there and be like, oh, they do something pertaining to social media. Oh, they're a bookkeeper. Oh, they're a virtual assistant. I should just automatically know. And then you want to think about, it's not about likes anymore. Can people share this content, and can they save it? Because people can think about it. I can like your post because it resonates with me, but that doesn't mean I necessarily need your help.
Right.
Because I can be like, oh, I was once there, so I get what she's talking about, but I already have someone helping me. But if I'm saving your post, I'm coming back to it and I need it for later. If I'm sharing it, it's because that was good to me and I think somebody else needs to see this too. So that takes an extra step than to double tap. So
liking is fine, but it's not especially useful for us, right? It's not going to like transform our lives, right? Like it's not going to create leads necessarily, right? Okay, so saving, I know that's in Instagram, you can save things and then refer to that later. I know that's big. And sharing, what about commenting? Is that valuable?
Yes, if they're commenting, they're engaging with you. They can relate to you. You can build a relationship with them. So basically all social media is like going out and networking. Like when I did radio sales, we had to go out and go to businesses and build these relationships literally in person. Like people will tell you no a bunch of times, but if you keep being persistent and you kept going to them, they're like, okay, we built this relationship. I'm familiar with you. Let me see what you have to offer. So it's the same thing with social media, building that community of people that begin to know, like, and trust you.
Okay. So when I'm looking at what's happened in the last month, let's say, I want to kind of get a sense of like what's resonating, right? Like what is getting the most saves or what is the most comments, right? And I'm using that. And then of course I want to then do more of that, right? And kind of that's going to be, I mean, because I think, like kind of I know that sort of, but like, do you have any advice for like, what do I do when I see, let's say 2 posts that month happen to get a lot? What do I do with that information?
So when you have that information, you can repurpose that information and take it, like if it's a post that you had, a lot of people saved it or shared it, you could take it and redo it in a different way. Like you can do it, show up on video. Like I know that it's one post that I did from like last year that was talking about your followers, like why people are unfollowing you. I did a reel this time around for it, and nobody knows that it's like the same exact thing. One was a graphic, one's a video. So just utilizing that. And whenever you are doing posts, the things you want to focus on are what mistakes is your audience making? What mistakes are they making, and how can you help them overcome those mistakes? Making them problem aware. Sometimes people don't know they have a problem because you haven't let them know, made them problem aware. Like I could be sick, but I don't know because I don't know the symptoms of being sick. So you have to make them aware of what's going on. And then making sure you're sharing your offer. People don't understand like what stages they go through within your offer. How you onboard me, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and what is my result? What result am I going to get? So how is this going to change my life? Testimonials, sharing testimonials, people you've helped in the past, and really looking at the people you helped in the past and them telling you what you helped them overcome and focusing on that, using that to your advantage. I helped them overcome, time management because as a CEO, they couldn't spend hours trying to focus on their books as a bookkeeper, like, and then what specifically makes you unique? Like it's different types of bookkeepers, it's different types of virtual assistants. Some use Asana, some use Dubsado. What is your specific method? That's why you have to share your framework because yours is going to be different from someone else's.
So many good ideas. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I just want to like cue up that you have this amazing free download that I will post here in the comments that talks about content ideas, but you've covered so much, which I think is a big problem, right? So, I heard, of course, get them problem aware, right? Talk about things. And then I know that's certainly happened to me, like, oh, that's me. Like, and they didn't even know it, right? It's like nobody's looking, right?
Yeah.
And so like, there's that problem aware, there's testimonials, there's really like making sure you're actually saying, this is my offer, right? I think that's a big one. People just kind of like, as someone who is in sales, right? Like you have to tell them what you can offer, right? And you named a bunch of other things. So I think that's great. And I also love this idea of like, when you have the thing that really works, taking that and repurposing it in different ways, maybe even repeating it. And like you say, nobody's going to know that, right? Like nobody was like, oh, wait, she did that. Like, who cares, right? They're probably like, oh my gosh, I remember she talked about this. This was so important, right? So yeah, I don't know. Somehow as you're talking, I'm like, this seems so easy. Do you suggest people like write? I mean, you have, again, a resource, and I presume you suggest people do this, but like, here's some prompts, some ideas about the things I should be sharing. And then as I go through the month, I'm going to also maybe have a little place where I write some of those ideas down. And then it becomes kind of a momentum kind of thing, right?
And there's nothing wrong with repeating the same stuff. You have the same offer. Think about a commercial, like Chick-fil-A plays the same commercial for an entire month. You don't say anything about it.
I love that. that's totally true. Like, I don't know why we're so afraid of like,
right, we're trying to
yeah.
create 50,000 pieces of content. Like, it's like, repost it again, for the next month.
Totally. I mean, and half the people aren't even seeing it, right? So it's, well, let's
That's
talk about that. Like, how do I know anybody's actually seeing, like, what do you, I mean, I know this is a cross platform, it's going to be different, but let's say, like, oh my gosh, how do I want to just kind of be concise in how we address this, because there's multiple platforms, but how do we get followers?
Engaging with them.
Okay.
It's like, so for Instagram, it's going to be, through hashtags is huge. Using up to 30. I don't know how, I can't even tell you how many times people have found me with hashtags and messaged me. Definitely engaging with people, going out, engaging like people in a specific, like your target audience, your niche. If you're doing virtual assistants, if you're doing women, men, like look at those hashtags and go in there and start looking at the recent posts and having conversations. Through ads, if you know that your offer is working, your posts are working, through ads is going to draw people into you, but that's basically the main thing. Is you can't be afraid to talk to people if you're going to do it organically. You have to reach out, even just like me and you, like we're like, hey, how you doing? We have this similar thing,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So it's funny because when I'm like, I'm going to show my age here, but like when social media first came into the universe, it was like what you were saying earlier, kind of like posting, and it was just very simple, right? And it was more like, like, I don't know, just kind of, it was just way more advertising focused. It was like, come, we're offering this or do this, or like, it was less brand focused, right? Or whatever. But the point is you just kind of posted. So I am I teach what is termed social selling. People use different words around that. And it's interesting. So posting is sort of like, here's my information. Social selling to me is that engagement piece outside of my own platform, right? So I can go to another group, or I can find people that are, let's say, bookkeepers or virtual assistants, right? And I can begin to engage with them on any platform, right? Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn.
Right.
When you think about, because I always saw those as different. When you, Kendra, in your business, think about social media, are you thinking about those? Do you offer both of those, or do you think that those are separate things? Like, in other words, are you creating, I mean, I don't know about your business specifically, but as a social media person, like today, do you think of social media as posting and engaging holistically all in one? Or do you think that those are different functions? Where somebody's posting and somebody's going out into the world and trying to engage with people to generate leads and engagement and so on. Do you see those as separate, or do you think of that as one?
A lot of social media managers offer it as separate. They'll charge you additional fee to engage. And even having an engagement strategy, because you can end up on social media, you're supposed to be engaging and you're strolling. So you have to be intentional about your engagement. And honestly, I've gone without even posting before, and I've just engaged and I've seen my followers go up because I'm engaging with people.
Yeah.
So even if I'm like, I feel like if you don't even feel like posting, engaging is the option. Engage, because you want customers. That is the whole idea. You need to be talking to people. The post is just attracting them to your page. You still have to be having conversations.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I think that's interesting that you say, like, don't even I'm not suggesting you're saying don't post, but right, like, you could at least, I know you're not saying that, but like that's sort of equal parts, and maybe sort of the ideas that I tell me if you think this is true or not, but it does feel like I see so many people, they post quotes, right? That everybody's just like likes, right? Because they resonate, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to buy from them, right? Or they're sharing other people's content, especially on LinkedIn platform, right? And I just feel like it's what I call, I know this is a little negative, but sort of like kind of like down the drain. Like, I just feels like you're putting stuff out, but it's not really converting. It's not going anywhere. It's just going down the drain, and you're losing all that effort is kind of not really producing any results.
Mm-hmm.
Do you, you must see that a lot, right? Just the posting, it's like the act of thinking I'm doing something, but not thinking I'm taking action, but it doesn't go anywhere. I think that's people's biggest frustration with social media. They feel like I'm posting, and then nothing comes of it, and they get really frustrated.
I don't find anything wrong with motivational content from time to time, because you have to think about like where your audience is and you wanting to motivate them. And a lot of business has to do with mindset. So if you're telling like a strong piece behind like why you posted this quote and you're telling the story, I don't feel like anything is wrong with that, because people can resonate with you and they understand like, oh, you're going through what they've gone through, or you get what they're going through, and that ties them into to you emotionally and felt like a connection. So I don't feel like it's something you should do all the time, but I do feel like mindset is a big piece, like you wanting to quit and you wanting to doubt yourself and thinking that it's not working. And especially for like newer business owners, you have to realize like you have a journey to go on. You have to understand what you like, what you don't like, making sure your offer is clear, making sure this is what people want, making sure it's aligning with what you want to do every day and you feel good about it. So it's going to take, pulling those things out. And I think a lot of people are like 6 figures, 6 figures, 6 figures, and they're not telling, the backstory of, oh, I quit too early and I made these mistakes in my business. When people see that, they're like, oh my gosh, she knows what I'm going through. Like she did that too. And it's like, I would love to work for her. How did she overcome that? So I don't really feel like the motivational is always a bad thing.
That's great advice, because sometimes I get a little jaded, and I do think that when people have those and with that related story is so important. And, I think especially for selling to other small businesses, right? It's like, we don't even want to like, I don't know that we don't want to, like, it's everywhere, right? It's almost everything, right? Mindset is everything in some ways. And so addressing that, definitely see value in that. That's great to hear, just to remind us all. And we can do that in our own way, right? That sort of fits our personality and brand.
Right.
We can do that in our own way. And I definitely feel like the whole idea of social media is being social, right? I think we forget that. It ends up being sort of like advertisement focused, right? And so it's not social. And I mean, I've been doing social media for a decade, and it's just never, so many people don't get that. And I think what's so important about this topic is that I think sometimes the logistics, right? Like, what do I say? How much do I post? Overpost, doing too much or not doing, it just, what do I say? How do I recognize that? So much of that infrastructure sort of takes away, it makes us just like post and not really think about it. I'm sure I'm articulating that very well. Sorry about that. But just this idea is that we know it's social, but because we don't know when to do it and how to do it properly, we kind of just give up and just post and aren't really effective.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's why you people, companies like you exist, because like, there is an attention that needs to be paid, and there is a structure that you can put around it. And I feel like only when there's real structure and systems in place can there really be, a sense of, can you really like actually be effective? And that's a big part of like, that's a big part of my, I don't want to say philosophy, but that's, always see that. I just feel like if you just knew what to do when if you just know what to do, when to do it, you could really, really thrive. You could really succeed. Right. And so I really appreciate so much of these like insights and all the advice and all of the things that will help us keep it contained and really be effective. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay. I am going to put in this comments. Do you have any final words? Actually, maybe my last question, while I make sure that everybody can get links to your amazing downloads. I know you have a couple to share with people. What are some final words or biggest mistakes? Like, what could people do today? What do you suggest?
My final words are to make sure you just have fun, test things out, see if it's going to work. Like, you don't know if you be okay with getting out of your comfort zone and putting yourself out there. Like, I hated being on video. I hated the thought of doing reels, all of that stuff before I started this. So, share your personality, who you are. Like, it's okay. Like, we're all people, we're all different, we're all human. And the negative things that you think people are going to say about you are not going to happen. It's literally all in your mind. Like, people just want to see who you are in your business, and just embrace who you are and believe that you have something that is going to change people's lives, because you do. We're all experts, and we just have to show up as an expert.
It's so funny because that's, I think, one of the biggest barriers. Like, it's hard for me to be myself, right? Like, being social, like at a party, is like, I'm myself. But when you're putting yourself in an environment where like the entire world can see you, being yourself is hard, right? Like, it's sort of interesting, right? So that's just,
Right.
I mean, that's so important. It's everything, right? Just be yourself and act normal, right? And engage with people as yourself, like, right? In some ways, if we just get simple about it, we can really move the needle. I love that's so important. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, Kendra, thank you so much. And my private little very public consult on my social media plan. Thank you for being here. Next week, I'm going to have Shannon come on to talk about newsletters, and I hope everyone will come in next Wednesday, 9 a.m. Pacific. Thank you, everyone, for being here, and thank you again, Kendra, for everything. All right, have a great day, everyone. Bye.